Welcome back, family, friends, and fellow gamers, to Game Bros playing Torchlight 2. We are again joined We are again joined by our friend Justin, playing as the incredibly handsome. I don't know. I was gonna say I can't think of something. Intimidating. There we go. Guy in the background.
Yeah,
with a giant sword.
Another
Anyway.
guy calling another guy handsome. That's not a.
I couldn't
hear that.
I couldn't think of the term. For whatever
Notice
reason.
I'm just kind of in silence over here, not sure how to take that.
If you want to compliment a friend, it's not like, man,
you're
he's
handsome.
just so handsome. Yeah, it's more like
you look beautiful.
All right, you know what? Let's go through the portal.
Anyway.
Yeah, let's just go stab something.
Steven made it really weird.
Enough, yeah.
Let's
Let's do
go
guy
kill
things.
stuff.
Yeah, so we're playing Torchlight.
Oh, look, a giant.
Torchlight 2. That is a creepy dragon.
Is it alive? It's already dead?
These corpses are waterlogged corpse. Wow, this is like.
You saying waterlogged just
crazy.
reminded me. I wanted to mention this to Justin. So, Justin, there's a documentary, I guess, Steven, you would say? I don't know what. It's called.
It wouldn't be a documentary. It would be like one of those science shows, like a kind of like a Blue Planet type thing.
Yeah,
more or less.
Very, very well done. It's called Is Genesis History? Have you ever heard of it or seen anything ads on YouTube?
I feel like
That's
I've
where
heard
I saw
of it, but I never watched it.
So Steven bought it, and we watched the first, like the main documentary or whatever you want to call it, and it was really good. Oh man, it was awesome because they talk about evolution and how they pretty much disprove evolution, going by the Bible and just by science. It's very well done.
So I would say this is a better way, I feel like, to say that. They kind of disprove evolution in about 20 ways.
Yeah. It's not just evolution.
It's not like, well, the Bible doesn't say it evolved, so therefore we disproved evolution. Like, well, no, you can't use a book to disprove something, which, yeah, there actually is ways to do that when it comes to like history and whatnot. But if you have a historical document,
But yeah, I would recommend it to
like,
anybody. And if you use the download link in the description, then we'll get a little. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll get a little contribution. No, but
Sponsored by Squarespace.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you can't. Yeah, it's like I will say this. Well, let me think of how to word it. Basically, I was gonna say you can't disprove. How do you say that?
I agree.
Yeah, basically, I can't say how to say this, but people will comment. It's like, well, yeah, you're bringing in religion into a scientific argument. It's like evolution's not science. There's not. I mean, if you're talking about microevolution, then yes, we can see that, we can predict it, or not predict it, but we can observe it, we can hypothesize about it, we can theorize about it, and then it could become a law in that sense when you talk about the microevolution.
Did you guys grab that thing that was right here?
I did.
Okay, Steven, come over here. There's a little
thing you're talking about.
Yeah, really quick. Let's pause the evolution talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Return to town.
But if you have, you can't take data that you see in any context and then extrapolate it without any actual concrete thing and say this is how it is, which is what's been done basically. Because we see minor changes in like dog breeds, and so therefore elephants came from the ocean. You're like, that doesn't, that's a huge
doesn't logically follow.
leap. Yeah, that's a huge leap. And then the fact that like the fossil records don't show these minuscule changes over the course of time. Anyway, that's just.
Well, one of the big problems is trying to use science to prove history, and that's not what science is for.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
Like, I can't scientifically prove George Washington's presidency. That's not how science works.
Yeah,
Science is
exactly.
for what we can observe, measure, and repeat. That's the scientific method. And trying to say that we by nature cannot observe, measure, or repeat anything that happened in the past. So to make dogmatic statements about what happened in the past based on science means you don't understand what science is.
Yeah. Did you guys want to do the main quest or do some side missions?
I don't have any side missions.
Now that you don't have a shattered visage or Shadow of the Skara or robot parts? You don't have any of those?
I have the robot parts one, but that one is just
yeah.
You just have to find wherever they are.
Yeah, that one. Okay, then I guess we'll just go up. Steven, are you ready?
I mean, if you guys have side quests you want to do, I'll tag along. I'll be your third wheel.
Steven, do you have a preference? Steven's selling stuff, so...
No, I'm trying to sort, like, because I have
I guess
some
we'll be
things
right back after these messages from our...
Colgate toothpaste. Supported by Squarespace. You're like, how does that work?
So, okay, we're back. Steven is...
I can't walk out that way.
Finished...
Maybe we're not back.
You have to talk to... Yeah, we'll be right back after these messages.
You didn't tell me.
Guy at the top.
No.
You have to
Once
talk
again,
to
go
him.
check out Squarespace.
I wonder if I can put it there.
So I guess we're back. Yeah,
29,
Steven
like
should be here any second now. But and I'm curious because I want to know, so I'm just gonna
Once
do a
again,
little
guess whose
segue
fault it
and-
is?
Yeah, it's Steven, of course.
Man, everything starts at 42.
Justin was telling us about
Answer to everything. I know.
the 12 Days of Christmas song because at the time of recording this, it is December 15th, so Christmas is still around the corner. Even though by the time this goes up, December is gone. But what's the? You said you had it has like a church background. The
Yeah,
12 Days
so-
of Christmas song.
The concept of the 12 Days of Christmas, one thing you'll find if you study church history, one of the earliest things that the early church discussed was the time of Christ's birth. And there was sort of a difference between the Eastern and the Western church. The Eastern church said that it was January 6th. The Western church said that it was December 25th. And so you have between January 25th and, I died. But between between those two dates, you have 12 days of Christmas. So you've got 12 days between them. That's where the whole concept comes from, was from the discussion of the two different churches, which puts a bit of a light on this whole concept of the idea of Christmas is just pagan and all that. That's kind of ahistorical, but
Huh.
yeah, so that's
Yeah,
one
'cause
of the
I've heard
earliest
that
things the
too.
church discussed was it January 6th or December 25th? And so that's where 12 Days of Christmas comes from.
But I mean, hasn't it been also proven that Christ was not born on December 25th?
Actually, it's
more like in the-
it's the evidence greatly points to the idea that it would have been probably actually January 6th. Because
Really?
if you know one of the key pieces of information we have, and I'm going to give kind of a really brief overview of this to not bore everyone to death, but one of the key pieces of evidence you have is who is serving in the temple at the time. You've got, if you remember, John the Baptist is born not too far away from the birth of Jesus, and his father serves in the temple. Oh, I died again. Good grief.
Yeah,
Anyway.
this guy is hard.
Thorn Mangler.
Right, but
Doesn't sound very nice.
so basically, based off who would have been serving when, because there's only certain times when they would have been serving, you run the dates, and it actually adds up to Christ would have been born roughly January 6th.
Yeah,
So
I've
it's
heard
not
another way. I mean, I haven't, I guess I haven't heard that before, but that at least has some, there's reasoning behind it. It's not just like, we just thought it sounded nice.
Well,
Yeah,
that-
no, I mean,
that's-
there's reason why those are the dates the early church was discussing, is because
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was good evidence for it. Now, the only thing people will say is like, well, yeah, but it was winter. They wouldn't have the shepherds wouldn't have their sheep out in this field, except for they would. Absolutely, they would, because you
Yeah.
always had to have some sheep ready for a sacrifice. So there was always some sheep out in the field. Maybe not the main
and then-
flock, but there was always sheep out in the field.
Yeah, well, and then it's also like
Oh,
the Israel's in the Middle East. They have a wet season and a dry season.
Well,
they don't
but-
have winter.
but they
or
would've-
not how we know it. Anyway.
They would have still in what is considered winter. They still would have put the sheep, kept them more inside. But if they had a day where it got warm enough, they absolutely would take the sheep back out to the fields, because it's way easier to just let them graze than try to buy
Yeah.
food for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no,
the grass
it's
in the field
actually
is free.
pretty. All the evidence points to the fact that we actually do have the date pretty dead on.
that's actually cool because I've always heard that like, I mean, I don't think the people who said this have had like evidence, but I've always heard that, Jesus was really more born like in the summer. But if it was January 6th, then it's actually not too far off from when we actually celebrate it, which is kind of cool,
Right.
Well, I've heard one of the other things. So the other thing I guess to factor into is that we have the, I don't even know what it's called, but our calendar, and then there's the
it's
Jewish calendar, and they're not the same.
Right.
Like,
And
I don't know
that is
exactly
factored into
how-
this discussion.
Right.
Like January 6th is not what they would have called it. I forget exactly what it is in the Jewish calendar, but yeah.
But isn't it? I don't really know that much about the Jewish calendar. Man, just things that keep popping up. Like I want to talk, but I can't because we're kind of trying to die.
You got to
We're not trying to
multitask,
die,
man.
We're trying to die. No.
Can you breathe and chew bubblegum?
As long as you make sure it doesn't go down the wrong tube, yes. It's supposed to. The gum is supposed to stay in your mouth.
Wait, what?
You said, can you breathe and chew bubble gum?
Wait, gum is supposed to stay in your mouth?
Yeah. What do you mean?
I've been doing gum
That's an old
wrong.
wise tale.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I have not. Like one of the other things I've heard is that,
Oh man.
like using our knowledge of like the stars and everything, we can, at least I've heard that nowadays there actually is software that you can you can actually plug in a date and it'll show you the stars on that date, because it is just a large clock. It's just kind of knowing how it's wound that you have to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. But anyway, the person was able to back up, and if I remember correctly, the thing's called the Star of Bethlehem.
Oh.
No. It's called the Star of Bethlehem. It's a video, like a movie that's an hour or so long. Gosh, break his shield. And this guy basically goes into looking into this what it was. What did they find? What was a star? And I'm pretty sure what he finds is that it's like several constellations converging in a very unique way. That he says, like, this is what we think it could have been.
Yeah,
there's no real way to say this is what it was.
I have no issue accepting that was probably a miracle. Because
that too, yeah.
These are the only ones. Like, if this star is so obvious that you can follow it, and it's apparently moving, because you know how stars work, you're not just gonna keep walking in one direction, and it's like that's not how stars work. That it would have to move for them to be moved to Bethlehem. So in that case, it's like I have no problem accepting that this was probably a miracle.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a problem if there is a natural explanation, but I'm not the type of person that thinks that there has to be a materialistic sort of explanation for this.
Yeah.
You know.
Like Jesus fed the 5,000. Actually, he was hiding the bread under his cloak.
Well, you know, there's some crazy
Like, what
things
do you
people
mean?
come up with to try to explain away what the Bible calls miracles. Like, there's some people have said that there was just a certain mixture in the atmosphere that created the manna for the Israelites. It's like no.
That's
You're just reaching
I mean,
now.
I have no problem with God using like science to create the miracle, but it's not like.
Well, the thing is,
science wasn't the thing that did it. It was God that.
Well,
you know.
Here's the thing. Like, I think miracles are actually on the side of Christians, not on the side. Like, because a lot of people say, well, you guys believe that people walk on water and bread appears on the ground. No, actually, because I believe we live in a world governed by laws that are consistent. I believe that when God steps into his creation and does something abnormal, it's supposed to catch our attention because we know God has ordered the universe. But as an atheist, you believe that we live in a world of random chance. Why would you think it's abnormal if someone walks on water? You have no basis to believe in the consistency of nature.
Yeah.
So for me, I know why it's weird for someone to walk on water, but you don't. And when someone walks on water, that's supposed to catch our attention. That's why God did miracles to begin with, you know?
Yeah.
So it's actually a very useful apologetic tool.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll stop rambling.
That's true. No, I like talking about it, especially, I mean, we've...
63.
Any opportunity we have where we can talk about God, I mean, I want to do it, because that's one of the reasons we do this channel, is because we want to, talk about God, talk about the gospel, stuff like that. So, I mean, and it's interesting. I love talking about it. Steven
Yeah.
doesn't, but
That's the,
he hates it.
He,
though.
yeah. No, actually, I had.
He's what we
come
call
on.
like a, so-so Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven's
I mean-
the Christian that God said he would spit out, so...
Oh.
no.
Oh, the whole
Lukewarm.
lukewarm thing. Yeah, I
I'm
preached
just
on
kidding.
Laodicea. I think that's a
Oh, really?
grossly misunderstood passage. But anyway.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
I'm curious. What's your...
So Laodicea, you have to understand the geography because, John says from the message from Jesus to this church is that you're neither hot or cold, but you're lukewarm, and because you're lukewarm, I'm going to spew you out of my mouth, right? So we often
Yeah.
think hot is good, cold is bad, right? You're hot, you're on fire for God. You're cold, you're dead. You're just cold, stone cold
Yeah.
dead, right? Well, that's not what it means, because
Yeah, I've heard it's not that.
if you
That's- I don't
understand
remember
the
exact
geography of
thing.
Laodicea, they had one natural resource they did not have, and that is water. So they had to get it piped in from two different sources, Hierapolis and Colossae. Colossae had cold springs, Hierapolis had hot springs. But by the time you pipe this water miles and miles to the city of Laodicea, guess what it is? It's
Yeah,
lukewarm.
Yeah.
So hot and relaxing and with healing properties, it's no longer there. Cold and refreshing and good for drinking, no longer there. In other words, hot good, cold good.
Also
But
good, yeah.
they were neither. They were lukewarm. So it was only like when you drink lukewarm water on a hot day, you just vomit it up. That's the
Yeah,
whole picture
yeah.
of the whole thing of Colossae.
Okay. Cool.
Anyway, sorry. I'll stop
So
preaching.
he was, so he was basically talking about the piping system. No.
Yeah, he's like, you guys needed better drainage and piping.
Yeah, you guys need better
That's
piping.
really-
Well, the principle is your problem is not you're hot or cold. Your problem is you're too far away from the source.
Yes. Yeah.
So
that's
who's the
good.
source? Jesus is the source. He introduces himself as the Amen, the affirmation of the truth. So Laodicea's problem is they were just too far away from Christ.
Why can't I pick that up? Oh, it's
That's
a
good.
locked chest.
Yeah, that's a locked
Grr.
chest. We need a key.
I was trying to pick up the locked chest over and over. I'm like, I can't get inside. The game's glitching. No, it's
So one
not.
thing I'm curious about with going back to kind of Jesus and the manger and all that stuff is whenever he was born,
It's awesome.
what is
Sorry.
that?
It's a new robot.
You got a new
So
robot?
here, I got this one, the
want a
healing
robot.
one,
That thing is awesome.
and then I got
Dude, that
This
thing's
one.
like a
That is so cool.
so I
it's
got
like a
Gun-
metal
so
knight.
I
what
know.
should I name him? I have Heather and Gunter. What should his name be?
Well, what does he do?
What was
What's
John?
his-
When? No, never mind. That was something. Then he blows up. I think he's just a
died.
big
Oh no! I almost died. Heather, heal me. Get away from me. So yeah, going back to my question.
Well, we'll name him later.
When when Christ was born and stuff like that, he was born in a manger. Did the manger have a chimney? And if not, how did
Santa bring him his
Dang
presents,
it.
right?
Yeah, how did Santa bring him his presents? That's,
This is one thing we just may
See,
never
this
know.
is why Christianity makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like,
Checkmate, Christians.
oh god.
Boom. Yeah, or here's a maybe Santa was one of the Magi.
Well, actually, do you know who Saint
Oh,
Nicholas
wow.
was? That's another
I have
church
heard
history
of
thing. I
him.
won't go into that. I've done enough of that today.
Well, I've seen. Well, I don't know very much about it, but I just know there's a real person that existed, Saint Nicholas or something. And
Yeah, he was supposedly at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD and punched Arius because he was a heretic. That's yeah. He's not the jolly
Merry
old fat guy
Christmas.
you think of.
Oh,
But that's where Saint Nicholas
Yeah.
comes from. Yeah.
Oh man, that's fun. I love history. Is one of the things is one of my subjects I love talking about. I would love to go to Israel. I'd love to go to England, and just because England is so rich with history.
Didn't you guys just go to
man.
Israel, or was that just Steven?
Well,
me,
Steven
yeah.
did. I wasn't invited with.
There wasn't
Oh,
enough
wow,
room on the
Steven.
plane.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like,
No, they go with our other older church that we grew up in, and it's like super expensive. So I just
where are we going? South?
I have no idea. I'm following you, man. Oh, it's up here. The star is up
Oh.
here to the north. We're trying to find.
I would have been a terrible
Christ.
magi. I'm like, where's the star? I don't know where the star is.
It's not on my map.
Well, I don't think the Magi had to fight like rock trolls and stuff on the way to Jesus. Just,
That is
you know,
true,
In all
yeah.
fairness.
So one thing I've heard, and actually I haven't looked at this myself, but or to confirm myself, but that it's never really said in the Bible that, I mean, you may have said this actually.
That it's not.
That this
hasn't given a number.
It doesn't never give us a specific number. All it says is there was 3 gifts.
Right.
So it's
Right.
like it could have been 2. There was at least 2. There could have been 5.
It could have been 4, and the one guy was like, "Dude, you didn't say we were bringing gifts."
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
chances are, like this is a bit just kind of on speculation, but chances are there's probably a pretty decent sized group because
That's
if
what I
you're
would
carrying
think.
valuable stuff,
That's what I'm thinking.
you want to have
Yeah.
some form of protection at least.
Well, whether or not this is in the episode, I don't know, but we had a computer crash. We were trying to figure out the audio file. So we're just going to end the episode here. We have about 23-ish minutes, 20 minutes. So we'll see you next time on Game Bros. Torchlight. We're still playing Torchlight. We have one more episode to record. And have a good day, and we will see you next time. Be blessed.